Hi, and welcome to Pursuit of Tomorrow. Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Now, in the spirit of that, I've decided to invite anyone and everyone onto this platform here to help discuss the idea and how we can actively pursue tomorrow as opposed to just kind of passively receiving it. Now, before we get started, I just want to say any support to the channel would mean so much to me. So like, comment and subscribe, and without any more to say, let's get right into the episode. So welcome back to Pursuit of Tomorrow, and welcome Zach to Pursuit of Tomorrow. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, mate.
No, my pleasure. So before we get into the Pursuit of Tomorrow, I'd like to take a quick introspective look into yesterday. So I actually asked you to bring 2 or 3 artifacts.
Yes. I came ready.
Yeah, come true. What'd you bring?
First I brought a watch that my mother bought me.
Okay.
For my 18th. It's a Hugo
Nice.
Chronograph.
It's a very nice watch.
I don't think the camera will be able to see that. But it means a lot to me just because I put this on like most days, especially when I need that I really love like my clothing. So it means a lot to me to then just put on a piece that I can look at, and it's just like, yeah, it comes from a really good time, really good space.
Yeah.
A second item, I have 2 in here.
Okay.
My headphones.
Okay.
These are so important to me. I cannot go anywhere without them. They're the best things ever. The Sony something, I don't know, but they have like completely sound cancellation. They have that new ambient noise feature, so you tap the thing, it's like ambient noise control on. I'm like, oh. Yeah, these matter a lot to me. And then lastly, I've always had this in my room as a photo, but as I was like 14, these are like a few of my friends from back home in Malta.
Gosh.
That's Rebecca, that's Sabine, and that's Gary. I grew up with them. I used to go to school with them.
Wow.
I don't know if they'll be able to see that too, but I just point it anyway.
Yeah, let the people see you.
Yeah, that was like back really, really old times. I still stay with touch with them today, but they were just some of the first few friends I made towards like the end of my time there. And then I moved countries, so then it just kind of all like shifted. But I still have that. It's always in a frame, and I just keep it like by my bedside table there, so I wake up like that. Yeah, good old days.
So Malta, that's where you grew up?
Yeah, man. I went. So how long has it been? So I left when I was 12, but I spent pretty much, I think, from my first birthday, up until I was 12. Yeah, I did kindergarten, primary, and secondary, year 7 and year 8, and then I moved here, and I did repeated year 8.
Okay. So what prompted the move?
Oh man, to be honest, it was a mad like court case. Yeah, it's pretty big. It was big in my life at least. It was massive, and then really I was just looking for a new chance to just kind of like rebuild my life again.
Right.
And then there was just so much opportunity here for me. Like, and I used to come to England all the time, like every summer.
Okay.
Because I have family here, because of my mum, and I was just like, it just seemed so much like, I don't know, when I came to the UK I was like, yeah, this is just such a nice vibe. I can't really pin it, but it just felt right. So I always really enjoyed coming here. So yeah, I think that, sorry, we're off on a tangent there.
No, not at all. So so you talk about opportunities, so what opportunities are you tapping into at the moment?
Now I've been doing this music thing now, so I've been making music for I've been writing raps for about 5 years, but properly making music for about, I think, 3.
Okay.
And it's honestly just been that, like since I quit the basketball at 16, and I literally just put my whole life into this thing now. Like I did a bit of modeling, like post basketball. I did a little bit. It wasn't like anything serious, but I tried to get into it. But it just, I don't know, like I was doing it as a hobby, and I made a few friends through it, and there's this guy called Ed Russell. He used to own a clothing brand called OXE.
Okay.
It had like this pink logo. It looked like it was just an O and an X in it. It was pretty cool actually. And I did a few shoots for him, and through him I met a few other people.
Okay.
But it never really transformed into something. So at the same time I was doing the music, and that was like, it was just really fun, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And my mom invested in my craft, so she brought me a microphone, a mic stand.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah,
man. I like that.
Yeah, she helped me so much because she was like, right, look, you don't have the basketball thing anymore, so what is next for you?
Right.
And I was just like, well, let's just do this music. And so she set me up with the first little bit, and then she started recording in my bedroom.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The OG ones, where it's just
The
you,
classic.
bedroom, and your mic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Straight up, just plugged into like this interface. It's just like this tiny thing, and just hooked up to my computer. And I didn't have any money to do like, to get like the big software like.
Right.
For audio, it's like Logic, or you get Pro Tools. There's one called Ableton. That's just a few to mention, but they cost quite a bit of money. So I started off. Do you remember Audacity? Did you ever?
No.
I was on Audacity, man. That's the stuff we did in year 8.
I heard that in time.
I know. It's the stuff we used in year 8 for some IT class.
Yeah, mate.
I was just
I
like,
heard that in time.
I know, it's weird. It's such a weird time. But I made it work, innit? Like, I didn't know much, but I was just like, screw it, I'm just going to begin messing around.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so now I'm still doing it.
Yeah, okay, so the next question, and you're allowed to be 100% biased. I should think of a song or a film that also brings about positive memories. So, would you say one of your own songs is tied to that, or something?
No. I mean, I could. I could, but I think, to be completely honest, like I'm not gonna plug myself just because.
Alright.
I don't need to, but I think one song that I think really just brings back good memories. It's a Linkin Park song. I think what was it called again? I think it was called Castle of Glass.
Okay.
I was like 14. I really loved Linkin Park back then, and it was just like I think it was like my second year here, and I was still just finding my grips. I didn't really quite have a grounding. Like I knew I lived in Botley, and I knew I was going to school at Cheney, and I knew the route to get there. I knew that, but I was still really trying to understand like what I was surrounded by, and I think that song was just kind of like it really immersed me in just like I listened to that song and then walk around. I'd be like. Sounds so cliche, but I would literally just spend that time like looking at the trees and just like, just really taking everything in. Because at that point, I literally just felt like a 5-year-old running around the streets having no clue what I was doing.
Right.
I mean, that would probably be a bad idea. There should be the parent there at some point. But it felt like such like a new space for me. So that song just, even when I listen to it now, I get like, I don't know if you get this, but certain songs or places or things bring back a certain emotion. I think it's just nostalgia really, but I definitely get that feeling. So yeah, I think it would be Linkin Park, What I've Done, something like that. No, Castle of Glass, excuse me.
Yeah, Castle of Glass, okay. So of all your experiences, what would you say is one or maybe even a few that would have informed your interests?
For the music?
Yeah. Or any other interests you got in the bag?
For the music, what interested me, I think, so when I basically realized that, okay, basketball's not going to be a thing anymore, I was like, okay, so what am I going to do instead? And I used to listen to, do you know Logic? Yeah, I grew up on Logic's EPs.
Right.
And, but I used to listen to them and imagine I was him rapping the lyrics on stage.
That's dope.
And I used to get like serious butterflies, like super mad tingles over my body. I loved it. I just loved the idea of it. And I kind of just like went back to that thought one day. And I was like, why don't I just like try try rapping. I was just like try writing a few lyrics.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on like being the next like Central C or like I didn't want to be like that kind of dude. Like I looked at Logic because he was the kind of embodiment of all the like characteristics I wanted to have
Right. Yeah.
in me, like sort of real pride and ambition to be like someone from nothing. I really felt like it just came at a time when what motivated it, just that really wanting to be like Logic. And I think just wanting to actually do something that made me happy, because I did feel like with basketball that was the one thing that I knew I could always go back to.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of I want to say I fell out of love with it just because with the way it ended up finishing, I just like I wanted something. I was like, you know what, okay, the next thing I do, I'm going to make sure that it's going to be because it makes me happy.
Right. Yeah.
That was the whole crux of it. Like that was the one driving force for it, and I still take pride in that to this day. And I said it's going to be completely authentic, and it's going to be something that I love doing, whatever it is. And that's been pretty much the like driving force behind the music.
That's dope.
Yeah.
But then, what inspires you to be better? Because I like the fact that you've tapped into kind of where it came from. It's something that is 100% authentic to you,
Yeah.
but it's something that is obviously heavily tied to a journey that you've been on. So from where you are now to where you'd like to be in this industry, what inspires you to really to keep going, but to be better than you are?
I think now especially it's just perseverance. I've been through a lot in the last few years, and I think the only thing that even today I still take with me wherever I go is that just essentially the past is the past and today is today, and you can just deal with it as you wish. And I think you have power over that. So although I think we all face doubts quite frequently maybe in our minds, and especially with the things we love to do and the things we really care for, the one thing that I tell myself is that whatever it is that I do today, just make the most of it.
Right.
And appreciate whatever or however much you accomplish. So if that means then today it's just a verse or just a chorus, or not even that, it's just maybe, I don't know, like an Instagram post or like preparing content for something, then that's the most, that's the best. So really it's just perseverance, and I think just having serious, Nipsey said this, Nipsey Hussle, he said you are so much closer to the finish line than you are at the start after a certain point.
Yeah.
So just keep going.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then, how do you then strike that balance? Because we kind of talked about this earlier. It's easy to obviously see yourself and plant yourself in the present, and it's easy to see where you've come from, and it's nice to see where you're going. But how do you go from like doing the most one day to doing something small the next day, but still feel like you're accomplishing something in between?
In between those, yeah, okay, it's in my experience, I think balance has been probably such an important part of my journey, because it's always been like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that today I do something and get it right, and then some days it's like, well, it's okay if I don't, and I go between being like really relentless in my ambition to do something to having like so much compassion for myself to just maybe not do as much. And I think finding the balance is really just, I think for me it was having those experiences where I do go a bit overboard, and then I do sometimes really go heavy on the brakes.
Yeah.
And I think then the balance is about, it's trial and error for me personally. Like,
Okay.
I don't really have, I think, any idea what the hell I'm doing half the time. Do you know what I mean? But what I do know is that I'm gonna get somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I find comfort, and I think the balance for me then comes from just acceptance of where I currently am right now,
Yeah.
and just being in that moment. Because I'm always so much in my head, like
Yeah.
I always look for the next thing. What is the next thing? And I could do that for days, like for hours, but I think it requires a sense of, that's where the grounding comes. That's I think where I think you can truly find the balances by just accepting the moment that you're currently in.
Yeah.
That's what's worked for me at least.
No, I like that because I think to a certain degree I work like in the same way. It's more about the destination than the steps you take to get there. And I just know it's so hard for some people to work in that way because I think, now tell me if it's just me, let's clock this,
Tell me.
but we work within a society that always tells you that there's a certain, not only a certain amount of steps, but certain steps to take to get to that a destination.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's the obvious one. There's primary school, secondary school, college sixth form, university, masters maybe, and then job. That's one.
Yeah.
But there's always someone else whispering in your ear trying to tell you how to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you often feel like you don't know what you're doing when you take your own path to get to a destination that you've set yourself on. You know, what path you set yourself on.
Yeah, see, I actually had such a hard time with this as well because most of my friends went off to university.
Right, yeah.
And it was, how old was I? I was like 19. And most of my friends were like, yeah, I've got my deferral, or like, yeah, I'm starting in September. Let's go. And but I only passed with like 2 A levels. I wasn't a great student, to be honest. I can say this now. I was smoking way too much nonsense, and like I was really into that stuff. And then, so I ended up with just 2 A levels, and so I just about really like began like thinking, okay, I can do something with this music now, right? And my brother came home one day, and he was like, oh yeah, at my open day, there was this leaflet for a music foundation. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it literally just said music. It said audio and video technology. And it was a foundation diploma. And I was like, okay. Mom was like, well, this could be something. You know, you could actually get like a real educational backing behind.
Yeah.
And she always like prided on having the education aspect of things.
Yeah.
And because I also thought like I was like gonna have to do this completely by myself, no education, just get a job and then like side hustle the hell out of this craft.
Yeah.
So then I did the diploma, and now then after my diploma, I think I had a year out, and then I applied, and now I'm studying at university. So technically, if this was a 3-year course, I'd be graduating a year after everyone in my year group.
Right, yeah.
But I'm doing an accelerated degree, so I'm still gonna end up graduating the same time as my mates now.
Right.
So it's like I was playing catch up, and now I'm still finishing at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think at times I've basically thought like, okay, I'm not going to have an educational background to do this, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's the thing about the path is probably, I feel like maybe me, I fixated too much on how other people got from A to Z,
Right.
rather than how I'm going to get from A to Z.
Yeah.
And that the more I live this experience we call life, the more I realise how personal it actually is, how individual it really is. Like, whenever you think you've got it mapped out, there's always somebody that takes a different tangent.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's about how you adapt to that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's powerful, man. Because I think that's where people are able to set themselves apart from others. And it's when your life doesn't take a certain path, or you're not able to take certain steps. You know, it could be circumstances, could be preference. You could just be like, for me, I don't see myself as an academic person. University wasn't really in the question for me.
For sure.
Right?
Sure.
My mum, she's been like a teacher for like 30 plus years. When she heard I wasn't going to university, she was like, well, what?
Oh,
but
no.
it's one of those things that's like, every time I haven't been on like a university path, so I've been able to adapt to that moment.
Yeah.
So I always said that, okay, if I'm not going to be at university, there are certain steps, certain milestones I need to hit within my life to kind of not even prove to my mum or to other academics or to my friends, or just to prove to myself that I'm still able to coordinate and navigate this thing that we call life.
Yeah, man.
You know, and I think, you know, that's where as I said, that's where you'll see the people that are able to set themselves apart, because, like you said, you know, you're now graduating the same time as the rest of your friends. You know, you're doing your own thing. Your side hustle is getting closer and closer to your main hustle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, nah, props to you, because
Thank you,
now,
sir.
yeah, because now you've been able to take what is the path that is supposedly the one path, and you've been able to basically terraform it to your life and make it work for you. You know, which isn't an easy thing to do. It's not, but it takes a certain level of hunger. You know, that if you want to make the journey work for you, you have to work for the journey. You have to understand the game. You have to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
Because eventually, the rules will start to. You know, once you know the rules, you're able to flip on them heads.
Yeah, man.
And start making them work for you. So, hey, look, once you get over that threshold, that's when you start seeing, you know, the fruits of your labour come through.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of people, it's scary because, like I said, no, if it takes 3 years for you to see any real results, are you willing to sit around for 3 years and not see those results? You know,
Yes.
at least with university, there are literal, you know, you get this exam, you get this grade, you get this, you get that. But when you're on your own journey, there's nothing tangible. No one can say, I mean, unless you literally hit, like, say, 10k views on something in your first year.
Right.
You could just be going through music, filmmaking, a podcast, a webcast, it could be anything, without seeing any results, without seeing any rewards. And it's only when you've done well and your audience are picking up on what you're laying down, that you can see how well you're doing. But outside of that, you don't know how successful you're going to be in your chosen field. You're just playing. You really are just playing the game.
It's the delayed gratification aspect of it. I think is like it's so hard for people, because I think at least people that start anything, because I think at first they want to just see that they can do it, and then they want to find out, is this a repetitive result? Can I keep doing it?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be like for me it was like, oh, okay, I can make a song, but is it going to be like, can I just make one song?
Yeah.
Can I make 2 songs?
Yeah.
Can I make 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah.
So it's like, once you get that down, then it's like, okay, do I want to release this? I want to show this? Or like, do I want to keep working at this thing until I feel like I've actually got something that feels to me like music?
Yeah.
And that is obviously very subjective, because music is also an extremely subjective topic. But it's like, I've waited so long now to like feel like I'm getting to a place where I am comfortable releasing music out to the public. I've released a few tracks on SoundCloud, like I've done that whole SoundCloud route, like I tried it quite a bit, especially in 2019. I think that was like a pivotal change in my life, because I was basically working with Ed Ross, I told you earlier, the guy that runs the brand. He basically was just like, he had a studio and he used to just hang out and like do his work there. But he had like these 2 sick proper studio monitors, and he's like, do you just want to come down and just like start working there? And I was like, okay, cool. And then so pretty much every night for a good like season, I was just working so hard.
Yes.
And then I began seeing like what it could be, and then I dropped this. I dropped this remix to like an Octavian song called Lit. Well, the song was called Lit, but I remixed it. I found the beat. I was like, hey, did you want to just like try remix it?
Yeah.
And I did it, and then I woke up the next morning and it had like 4K views. And then it jumped again, it went to 10K by the end of that day. And from 10K, and then like about, I think it was like a week later, it got to 24.
Wow.
So it jumped,
Yeah.
but it made no sense to me. It's like, oh, okay, well, that was like the first time I had felt like, okay, this could actually be something I really can do. Because up until that point, I used to just like my mates used to come to mine, and then we'd basically be smoking and hanging out. But then, when we'd go out with the smoke, we're like, hey guys, do you want to hear this rap I wrote? Cool, why not? And now I'm like going full on to studios and like hanging out with producers and other very talented rappers, and I'm actually working with these people hands on. And that delayed gratification of just putting in those hours of not knowing where it's going to take you, but just doing it anyway and having faith that in yourself to know that it will actually get better. I think is much more rewarding than just the like sort of the I don't know, like when you go to a shop, you buy like something you really like and you bring it back home with you. That high might last for like 8 hours. So yeah, delayed gratification I think is huge, and it's way more fulfilling, because I think not only does it bring that real boost of like, oh my god, I finally did it, but it teaches you so much along the way, like certain life lessons. Like I don't think anyone can learn what it means to be persistent, and I don't think anyone could understand what it feels like to persevere unless you do it through so much trial and error.
I like that. You know, people don't know what it means to persevere unless they've gone for it and continue to go for it. Because I think that is the initial definition of perseverance: holding on and continuing to move forward. But you have no idea what that is until you've gone for it and have continued on with it. I like that. So I'm going to bring it back to that Howard Thurman quote, although we've kind of touched base on it accidentally. But it's like, so don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive.
Right.
So, in the spirit of that, what would you say makes you come alive? I'm asking for something specific, because we've been very broad with it, but there would have been a turning point for you where, obviously between basketball and music, where you realise that something about this makes you come alive. That's what I'm asking for.
Such a good question. What makes me feel like I come alive? I think bottom line, what makes me come alive is knowing that I can bring something positive to the table, whatever that means. Like, I think just because of everything I've been through so much adversity, like from my childhood up until now, especially, like I see, well, you can either look at, you can look at the glass half empty or half full sort of thing. And so at one point in my life I saw there was so much bad in the world. There's so much negativity. Oh, the government this, media that, he's this, she's that, and pointing fingers everywhere, and it's like, well, all that made me feel like alive, all that made me feel truly present, all that made me feel like really like I'm making the most out of this time on this planet we call Earth. Like, it always comes back to that for me. It's like doing something that brings joy to someone. There's nothing more to me like satisfying than that. Because for me it was always like, when I was in one of those positions, when I was young, I didn't have that sort of that person or that thing that really brought me comfort. I used to just play tons of video games, so it was a really good time wasted. I mean, that brought some sort of, but like it didn't make me feel like really content. So now I don't want to like see someone else go through that. Like, and then with the music, I think that's where it just kind of came from. Like, I was able to feel like that's when I come the most alive. Like, hearing people recite something that I've written to purposely bring joy to them. There's nothing more thrilling than that. Like, seeing them just jumping about, singing the lyrics is like, this is a bit mad.
Yeah, no,
I love it.
Yeah, it's powerful.
But it's thrilling for me, but I also think like, what brings me comfort is like, okay, I won't get like sort of high off the ego aspect of it, like, okay, people are jumping to my stuff, because what I know is whatever I'm writing about, there is substance to it.
Right.
I try to make it something that they can recite proudly, something that motivates them, or something that makes them feel good.
Right, yeah.
Because I think that's what music can do for all of us, really. We all have those songs that we go to, to like make us feel so, I don't know, like, it's in that moment, it brings a certain emotion, and then it comes and it goes, it fleets. When it comes, it's so powerful, it's so beautiful. And I think that's what makes me come alive, is like being able to bring back those moments that I loved so much from music, but for other people.
Right.
That's really it for me.
I want to bring something back that you said earlier as well about the subjectivity of music. So it must be quite difficult trying. I think once you've got the hyper awareness that music is subjective, does it ever get you kind of in your own head about how to create something that everyone will like? Because obviously, you know, you've spoken about the aspect of music where it's very personal to you.
Yeah.
Right. But now you've spoken about how you kind of want it to be personal for everyone else as well.
It's true, because there's a real fine line. Like sometimes I get really in my head because I want to make the next song that I think, in my perspective, is going to be the greatest song I've made for other people. But then sometimes I'm like, that when I think like that, it doesn't work for me. So then I end up thinking, well, I have to do this for myself again now. So again, it comes back to what is that balance again? Like, where do I find that fine line? I think the subjectivity of music, I know I'm not going to be able to cater for every single person in the world, and I just have to remind myself that a lot of the time. And the thing is about music is, I think people appreciate it for many different things, like a plethora of different things. I don't think any person appreciates it exactly for the same reason that another person does, you know? That's why I think it's so subjective. Because, for example, for me, like, I might listen to some jazz because I like to daydream that I'm flipping Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders, sipping a glass of whiskey, and in that moment it makes me feel like that sense of maybe just real alpha or something, you know? And then for someone else, jazz might just be their idea of a glass of wine, chilling out by the bonfire, you know? Like, it does different things for us visually and mentally, like the stimulation, it's so different. And I think the way I cope with it is probably when I write it and I record it, if it brings for me that feeling that I'm looking for, then I feel like out of 7 billion people in the world, a certain chunk of that will be able to feel that too. It's a hard thing to kind of, there's a lot of acceptance that comes with it, like I think the whole acceptance thing of understanding that this is my best today is so important with the music, because I'm a big critic of myself generally with the music. Like, I don't really like, there's so many of my friends, when I show them a new track, they're like, oh, this is so good. I'm like, really? Yeah, it's alright, it could be bad. They're like, oh, what do you mean, man? Like, stop doing that. I'm like, no, but it just could be like, shut up, like, shut up. So, I mean, they've got a point, absolutely got a point. So I think, again, it just comes to that subjectivity aspect of it. It's like me at least understanding that, okay, maybe I don't think it is the best I could do, but some people might. And then it's like finding that balance and just being like, okay, letting something go, not knowing necessarily that it doesn't have to always be the best. It can just be something good, you know? Like, great things aren't always original, for example.
Right,
It doesn't always matter.
On your way to becoming, like, there's obviously like a final version, like, you know, you speak about going from A to Z. There's a Z version of you looking back on even a conversation like this. On your journey, you know, what does your day, your month, your week look like on your way to becoming that guy?
I think, to be honest, I'm very human. Like, in that sense, I don't like to hide behind the false idea that we are, like, especially like cool musicians or something, like have this look where they think like, oh yes, I attract everything and anything.
Right.
It comes my way and it's all dandy and lovely. No, it's none of that actually. I'm very human in the sense that my day may be from feeling super extroverted. Let's talk about, I don't know, feeling super swaggy or like feeling like I'm on top of the world or feeling like I can conquer it, to having really bad days. Like I can have really bad days and I'm questioning everything. Do I still want to do this music? Do I want to shave my locks off?
Right.
I get really, it's, I think it's important, I say this because I think it's important that people also see that even the people that have what looks like an amazing life,
Right.
it also has its ups and downs too, but
Yeah.
it's very human. I can sometimes just wake up, have a coffee, some breakfast, open up a notepad, load up a beat, start writing. Goes well, it doesn't go well, whatever, it happens. And then generally I might even take a bit of leisure time. I love to play games, I love PS4, man. I love video games, I've always loved them.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, they're just great, they're great. I take pride in it, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then really, I think I do try my best to go out and see friends, or go out at least,
Yeah.
because that's how I find stimulation, that's how I find the next topic I talk about.
Right. Yeah.
It's very hard for me to sit in my room for like a week or a month straight and then expect like something really amazing to come out without feeling like I've recycled that same topic about 50 different ways.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess in a simple way, my day is very humane, it's very unpredictable, as is life.
Definitely.
But I take pride in that, and I think that it's just very normal.
Yeah.
Really?
No, pride in humanity, like us.
Yeah.
That's the core of it. I mean, I think a lot of people try and be more than human at times, and also they almost feel shame when they are human, and yeah, that's a shame in and of itself, because obviously, like I was saying earlier, you know, people set precedent.
Yeah.
They work themselves to absolute limit on one day, and then they feel bad they weren't able to do that like 3 or 4 days in a row, 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, man, like you got all that work done, and now it's just about getting little bits of work done, you know, tying off a few loose ends,
Yeah.
you know, kind of staying in the moment, but not dwelling on the moment where you were able to do everything. Like, nah, man, like it's a puzzle piece. It's like you put one down, you put one down, you put one down, you put one down. There may be a day where you put 10 down, but in any case, you're building the bigger picture. So, you know, take pride in each piece you put down, because you're creating something, you know, and it's a creation that you're going to be known for. That's your legacy. Each individual puzzle piece, that's your reputation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Everything you do in a day and everything you share in a week, that's your reputation. That's what people are going to see you for, you know. But your legacy is how each one of those pieces fit together, and how people can see the big picture that you left behind. I thought, wow, this guy was always working, this guy was always doing something, so now worry yourself. But then, you know, one final question.
Tell me.
You know, that same guy who's playing at level Z, if he had anything, any words of encouragement, any advice for you right here on this couch, what do you think it would be?
Or any advice? I think. I think it would be enjoy the journey.
Right.
Because there's a really fine balance between, I think, looking for level Z and then being, I think, level Z. And I think that what I'm trying to say is even behind Zach Young, there is someone steering the wheel.
Right.
Being that there is a sense of, there's a bit more than just my physical body and my ambitions and my hopes and dreams, but there is a sense of sort of understanding that I am here. Sort of, I don't think we ever know really why we came to this, why we live this thing. I mean, I think it's a question that we probably ask ourselves at some point in life, but it's knowing that I think I'm here and I'm experiencing 365 days a year, whatever they look like, sunny, rainy, stormy, cloudy, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think that Level Z Zach would probably say just enjoy the journey and make the most of it, because that's all you've got really.
Yeah.
You know? And I grow more accepting of that every day, because it's hard. You know, I often think of it like, you know, you might not ever see the end goal, but you have your intention, you know?
Right, yeah.
And I think your intention is your compass.
Oh, I like that. It's powerful. I like that.
Yeah, because I've sometimes thought like, okay, well, some days I've wanted to sort of know the answers. What's the future going to look like? Am I going to be performing in front of 100,000 people? Am I going to be signed to UMG or Sony, whatever? And it's like, well, these are questions that can't be answered. They can be, but not now.
Right,
You
yeah.
know? And so what I just used to tell myself is that, okay, you're not feeling great right now, or nothing's happening right now, or could be better right now. But what matters is you have the intention. I have the intention that I want to do X, Y, and Z. So I will get there, as I have now. I'm here now. I'm talking to you. I'm on this amazing show, and I'm having amazing conversations, philosophical and also just simple, good fun. And I'm here discussing something I love doing, which is the music. I'm studying at university for this very same thing that I'm trying to build my life around. I've got a family, and I'm doing all these things that I'm, once upon a time, 16-year-old Zach would have been like, what is my life going to look like now, you know?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I think just enjoy the journey would be what I tell myself.
Yeah, and I think I often tell people that as well. Like, don't worry about the answer. Sometimes you have to take pride that you ask yourself the question. You know, sometimes coming to the question is equally, if not more powerful. You know, but some people are so quick to try and chase the answer that they forget that asking the question is what set them on that path.
Yeah.
You'll get to the answer, that's cool, but you've asked yourself the question, now you're on the way to the answer.
It's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah. But no, honestly, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your journey.
Thank you.
My guy, is there anything you'd like to sign up to the camera with at all?
What would I say? I would just say, live your lives the way you intend them. Live your life the way you intend to, is what I would just say. There's nothing more important than that. I don't think I would have ever came as far as I have now unless I did just that. And it comes back to setting intention. I think you have the inherent power to be whatever you want to be, as cliche as that sounds. All you have to do is set the intention and then let that guide you. And I know that sounds corny, but sometimes that's all you need. And then however your intention may bring things to you, that's out of the equation, that's out of your control. But then it's about how you see them, and you take those situations and mold them into what befits your life. So live your life as you intend to.
I like that. Well, with nothing more to say myself, I'm going to sign off. I'll link everything that you'd like me to link in the description below. But yeah, thank you for tuning into this episode of Pursuit of Tomorrow. And yeah, thank you once again for being part of this episode.
Thank you, mate.
Alright, big love, man.
Bless.
Alright.